Warhammer 40k was a strategy board game played by nerds who grew tired of role-playing as a single hero in Dungeons & Dragons, so instead they role-play as a general sending hundreds of other heroes to their death. Then in the early 90s, realizing how lame painting dozens of tiny figures is, Warhammer was adapted into a series of real-time strategy games, mostly. A couple of years ago, when THQ, the publisher of many of the Warhammer 40k games, went belly up, the magical land known as Steam, with its infinite bounty of love and video games, slashed the entire catalog of the bankrupt company. I scored about a dozen games for $24.99, including a game called Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Knowing a little about the series and having played a demo for the console-exclusive twin-stick shooter genre shitfest, I decided to give the series a chance. And after randomly picking between the 4 Warhammer games in my Steam library, I settled on Space Marine, despite my retardation of the strategy genre. But praise Jesus, holy David Blaine, the game was a fucking third-person shooter with melee. I know what you're probably thinking. Why abandon the real-time strategy RPG elements of a well-established and beloved franchise for a Gears of War Zelda hybrid? And my only answer to such a justified question is that the game rocks like a Geodude. No joke. Space Marines is a surprisingly fun game. It starts with the gunplay. Like most third-person shooters, you have your hip shot, and then a zoomed-in over-the-shoulder shot. 2 of the guns that have scopes give you a first-person view, but that's pretty standard. But what isn't standard is that the hip shot is just as accurate as over the shoulder, which probably sounds kind of cheap. But you're Titus of the Ultramarines. Of course you can hit an orc between the eyes without your fucking sight. Unlike Gears of War, there is no cover-based shooting like a fucking faggot. You can hide and get behind shit, but there's no button that sticks your ass to the chest-high walls. Hell, there's not even a duck button. Earlier in the campaign, guns are used to thin out the herd of stampeding orcs and close the gap for some meleeing. You get 4 options: a knife, a chainsaw sword, the power axe, and the warhammer. The axe is pretty quickly replaced at the beginning. The next 2 are pretty interchangeable, but the last weapon is the best. The warhammer can take down lower and mid-strength enemies pretty quick. But the downside is you're limited to only 2 gun types from the standard 4, the infinite ammo pistol and the assault rifle. Later in the game, not using a sniper rifle or an energy-based rifle isn't an option, so I mostly stuck to the power axe. Melee, honestly, has style and no substance. Watching orcs explode red is a hoot, but with a primary attack and a stun attack, close-range combat comes down to a Dynasty Warrior-style button masher. An on-screen tutorial did mention something about checking your combo list, but obviously, I never needed to. As you may remember from about 2 sentences ago, I said there was a stun attack in Space Marines, and I'm sure that you're scratching your nuts wondering, what the hell is a stun attack supposed to do? Well, it's simple, dum-dum.
For your health.
That's right. To recover health, you must stun an enemy, hit the action button, and watch an execution animation. Oh yeah, tougher enemies require you to rapidly tap the attack button for that sweet, rejuvenating orc nectar. It's not even a real quick time event, with the tapping of the same button every time. There is, however, another way to recover health. After dealing enough damage, Titus can go Super Saiyan and his health bar will automatically refill. This is the primary way I heal him. As a backup, the Ultramarines armor has a recharging shield, much like in Halo. The best part of combat was the sections when you get a fucking jetpack. Flying up in the air and landing in a massive power slam in the middle of a group of enemies felt so satisfying. And I think that gets to the main reason for my love of this game. You feel like a fucking badass. Sure, you could run headfirst into a horde of orcs, but then you're fucked in like 5 seconds. But if you're smart and cautious, there's nothing that can stop you. My biggest problem wasn't even anything gameplay or story related, it was the setting. And by setting, I mean 2 different things. The Warhammer universe and the actual locations the battles take place. My problem with the Warhammer's take on the human race migration into space is by their embrace of imperialism. Titus's almost brainwashed devotion to the honor of the Imperium, and constant spewing of crap about how lives are the currency of the Emperor kinda took me out of the experience. Maybe I just hate the ideas that humans would devolve to such a philosophy, or the fact that Titus would bring it up every 5 minutes, especially when you die. As for the level design, all the environments look good, but after a while it all just sort of blends together. They're very linear with next to no exploration, yet the developers still felt the need to point the player in the right direction. Really? I need to walk over to that door? I thought I needed to jump off this ledge. Oh wait, that's right, there's no jumping. Hell, you can't even run off a ledge thanks to the invisible walls. Another problem is if you're running on a newer system, you might have some massive frame rate drops. I fixed that by turning off the vertical sync, but other than that, I couldn't really find any way of fixing it. Just to reinforce what I said earlier, I really like this game. Its flaws are few and the action is fun, the story not so subtly hinted at a sequel, and I would definitely like to take another trip in Titus's giant metal pants.